So I've created a cool new dessert for you, and it is green tea pizzelles. I know, leave it up to the Asian girl to ruin an Italian classic, right? But it actually turned out really well, and I don't think that many people have done it before. Me loving green tea as much as I do, I take any opportunity that I get to kind of put it into desserts. I put in a little bit of honey instead of sugar just because I think honey pairs so well with green tea. Keeping in mind that you can also, turn these into little cannoli cones or also ice cream cones. So a really cool idea would be if you turned these pizzelle into ice cream cones and then topped it off with a little bit of green tea ice cream. So let's get to the kitchen and let's get started.
Okay, so I started off with the dry ingredients first, and this is just a little bit of all-purpose flour, followed by some baking powder, and then this is the green tea powder, and green tea powder gets really lumpy. I actually have a video on how to work with it, and sometimes it's better if you mix it with a fat like butter first because it dissolves a lot better, but I decided to kind of try to sift it with the dry ingredients, and if you do it like this, you're definitely going to have to sift it several times and then push that green tea powder through at the end. Next, I have added an egg and an egg white. So I found that the green tea powder really dried the batter up and it really needed that extra egg white. I added some sugar and some honey because I think that the flavors of honey go really well with green tea. So anytime I use that, I try to sweeten it with that. So I'm just whisking all of that together, and I'm adding a little bit of vanilla just for base flavor. You don't really have to if you don't want to. I added butter and just made sure to smooth everything out. Next, I am sifting that dry mix back into my wet ingredients, and I'm only doing it half at a time. So I'm dividing it into two, and then I'm whisking that until smooth, and then hoping not to make too much of a mess, and then I'm sifting the rest of the dry ingredients in. And you can see, even though we've sifted it before, there are still plenty of lumps to the green tea, so you definitely have to make sure that that is sifted well. And you can see that this batter is fairly thick. I mean, pizzelle batter is fairly thick, but the green tea powder definitely kind of absorbs a lot of the liquid, so that extra egg white actually helped a lot. I made a kind of a vanilla version just to show you. It's a little bit thinner, but yeah, it's in general a pretty thick batter. Next, I heated up my pizzelle maker, indicated by the green light, and I brushed that with a little bit of butter. And then I used the spoon that they gave with the machine, but I actually found that using kind of a little baby ice cream scooper or cookie scooper worked really well. And this is something that you have to play around with, because initially I put in too little batter and the whole cookie wasn't formed, and then later on I put in too much and then it overfilled a little bit, but this is just something that you have to play around with. I find that a little bit less than, if you use the two tablespoon ice cream scoop or cookie scoop, and then take a little bit away from that, then that would be perfect. So this was setting 2, and that yielded a lot softer pizzelle, which is not necessarily what I like, but when you put it on a lower heat, it doesn't kind of brown as much, so you're able to keep more of that green color. But for me, I definitely like the crunchy bits some more. So this is just me using that kind of the 2 tablespoon ice cream scooper and then taking a little bit away from it because it doesn't require the full thing. And I'm just showing you that sometimes a little bit does overflow, but then you can just rip it off and then try it out just to make sure that everything is okay. And yeah, these are kind of the finished green tea pizzelle, and you can see I just wanted to show you how some of them were, lighter on a lighter setting, and then some of them were darker when you use a higher setting. And I find that if you want, something that's semi-pliable like that, you use a setting of about 2 to 3, and then when you want something more crispy, like, the ones that I like that's more cookie-like, you use a setting of about a 4. And don't worry too much about it browning, because actually the green tea flavor stayed there pretty well, whether it was crispy and brown or not. And then finally, at the end, I dusted it with a little bit of powdered sugar, classic pizzelle, and that added a nice bit of sweetness to it, because the cookies themselves are not too sweet. But then I also, for the green tea, dusted it with a little bit of green tea powder, and that's really nice too to mix with the powdered sugar, because green tea powder is in general a little bit bitter, so it's nice to mix like that. Well, yeah, there you have it, guys. My green tea pizzelle, and they're so pretty, dusted with a little bit of powdered sugar. And actually, surprisingly, once you let them cool, I It didn't last more than a couple of days, but I was able to just put it into a Ziploc bag or an airtight container, and I was pretty surprised. Several days afterwards, it was still really crispy, and the cookies, hadn't softened at all like I had thought. So, and these are really perfect with, a cup of tea or for tea time, because the cookies, they feel light. They're not, heavy at all, and they're just nice and crispy. Anyways, I hope you guys liked the recipe and found it pretty creative. As usual, if you like and want to see more recipes like this, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye!